Okay, this is Karila at Metal Life magazine. I'm sitting here at Los Globos, here in beautiful Silver Lake, California. I'm here with Jason Pepiot from
That's right.
Psycroptic. I practiced really hard, can you tell? How are you doing?
Good, really good.
Good.
Really happy to be back out in the US again.
Happy to be back in the U.S. because you can drink Dos Equis and not Foster's, am I right?
Yeah, well, we don't drink Foster's back home though.
Oh, good.
Seems to be an American thing.
Really?
Yeah, you can't buy it down there.
You're kidding?
No, first trip we had out here, Foster's was fucking everywhere, so we were like, the fuck? I tried it for the first time in the States.
And?
Shit.
Yep, there you go. Well, we're really excited to have you here. It's the first date of the Bloodletting North America tour. Now, last time you were here, you were with Nile.
Yeah.
How do you feel to be back here?
Really happy.
It's been a while. What is that? 6 years?
5 years. Yeah. So it was 2010 the band was here last. So it's been way too long between tours. So we've been really psyched to get back out here. The response so far, looking online, seems that the tour should go pretty well. So. Yeah, really happy. I
mean, you're here with Kenny Vale, Ovid's Withering. It's a very interesting lineup, but it definitely fits.
Lots of blast beats.
Yes, lots of blast beats today, but don't we all love it? This question kind of assumes, and correct me if I'm wrong, but this question assumes that tonight on your set, you kind of have a very eclectic mix of songs, everything from Isles to your latest release, self-titled. Am I already?
No, we don't. Well, we've got songs off the last three. Well, the new album, Inherited and Observant. We've played quite a good mix off those. We've thrown in one or two songs.
Okay, that's very interesting.
Scepter, but nothing off Symbols or nothing off Isles.
That's great. Okay, this is very interesting because my original question was going to be, it wouldn't really seem comfortable as a vocal, I mean, really just as a band in general, to have to transition from those old school songs to what you have now. Now that I know you're not playing vinyls, like it kind of makes sense.
On an Australian tour, maybe a year or so back, we threw a couple of songs off Symbols, and it just kind of didn't work in the set with the newer material. I mean, it's got a bazillion riffs. It's going at a million miles an hour, and that stuff doesn't have, I don't think, the same groove and the same live appeal as what our latest stuff does. On albums, it's cool, but live, I don't know. I don't think that album came across as well on a live front.
Because if you think about it, I mean, bands make careers by making like 5 or 6 albums of Symbols material. You know what I mean?
We don't mind doing it, but we find the newer stuff a lot more enjoyable to play live. I mean, it's got a lot more groove. It's a lot catchier. It's just better to get a crowd working. We enjoy the new stuff a lot more. This stuff off Symbols is fucking ridiculous to play. It's it takes a lot of rehearsal to be able to throw those songs in the set, which we're not against, but that's an older chapter of our career, and we're wanting to keep moving forward, and so we're sort of pursuing the new sound a lot more, and so that's where the live shows are, I suppose, for us.
Fans have been so receptive here in the US to you guys. If you wanted to categorize it, if you really needed to, I mean, I guess you could categorize it as death metal. And a lot of death metal fans are all about like the old school, bringing back the old school. But I think Psycroptic gets away with kind of escaping that.
So I mean, it's always been a hard one. We've always never known where we really sit, like as a genre. Like, I suppose it leaves us a lot more open to go out on tour with a lot of broader variety of bands. I mean, we've been out on tour with a lot of the old school death metal bands like Cannibal Corpse, Deicide, and all that stuff. But then we get to go out with newer bands like the Black Dahlia Murder, and it seems to sort of mix and go down quite well with all the different sort of genres of people that are into the different genres. So
absolutely,
it's cool for us. But I suppose the way we just classify it's we play extreme metal. If it sounds good to us, we'll throw it in there. It doesn't matter if it's a darker, more black metal influenced riff, or more thrash whatever. It's like, well, if it works, it works.
And you've been able to get away with that.
We'll throw it in there, you know, fuck it, who cares? We have to be happy with the songs. You know, if we like the songs, it's like, cool. If other people get into it, fuck, even better, you know, it means we can tour and shit.
Right,
so.
and the best part is, like, your fans really don't seem to give a shit.
No,
what's your call-up, which is great. I mean, that means all the more support for you guys.
Yeah, and I think our fan base, it's learnt that we're not going to put out the same album, you know, 2 times in a row. It's like, they know it's going to have that Psycroptic sound, which, you know, I think Joe's riffing style, it's got a certain thing that you can pick it in the way him and Dave work together with the drums and guitar and the way they write, but it's always going to have something else totally different and out there thrown in the mix.
No matter, I mean, you could go in chronological order and think, wow, we can see that evolution from 99, 2001 to today.
Yeah.
But it's so cool that you guys have, like, not one album does really not sound like the other. You could hear half of the first song on any of the albums and tell if you're a true Psycroptic fan, like, what it is. And I think that's a big note of Psycroptic's career, is taking one thing and improving it.
Yeah, and that's the way we've always looked at it. Like the other day, I decided, fuck it, like last week before we came on tour, I got on Spotify and just punched in Psycroptic, put it on random, and I thought, I just listen to the mix, and yeah, the shit's very varied when it's jumping from, you know, something off Scepter to something off Observant to something off Symbols to something off the self-titled, and it's like, fuck, you know, the production sounds different, the whole thing's different, but there's that one thing that seems to tie it all together.
Absolutely, but the self-titled album is particularly special, and I think there's a lot of things I want to ask you about, like what makes this album so special. I read that recording the new album took place over 2 different sort of places in time, and in 2 different locations as well. So can you do that? Are you allowed to do that now? Okay, and then my follow-up to that, I'm sorry, I'm going to give this all to you at once. So with those places, like, why was that an important factor for you in making this album, dividing it up into basically 2 different parts?
It kind of wasn't a conscious decision, because originally we were talking about doing an EP, because we wanted to, we spend so much time between albums, you know, it's always like a 3-year gap, and we wanted to release something sort of in between 2 albums, so we were originally discussing doing an EP. That's why we hit Woodstock Studios in Melbourne. We only did the drums there for, it was Echoes to Come, Well Discarded, and another track that we didn't end up using on the album. But we went back to Joe's studio, we finished the songs, and Joe had already started writing more songs, and by the time the 2 Echoes and Well Discarded were finished, it was kind of like, well, we've got all this extra material now, so we kind of just thought, fuck it, let's not do an EP.
Why not record it in the same place? Where did you record the rest of the songs?
The rest of it was actually recorded in our hometown. Yeah, so the first couple of tracks were recorded in Melbourne. And we kind of wanted to trial a new studio, because we've always used the same studio for drum tracking, and then always gone to Joe's studio to do guitars, vocal, and all the production.
So it's Joe's studio. Okay.
Yeah, so we wanted to trial a different studio for drums and just sort of see what came of it. And at the end of the day, you listen to the album, you wouldn't pick which songs were recorded in a different studio. I mean, I can hear slight variation, but not a great deal, and so we kind of thought, well, it costs us more, we got to fly to Melbourne, we got to record, blah blah blah, we got to pay for a studio and all the rest of it, and we kind of thought, well, the sound's not really coming up any different to what it does in the local studio with what we've done on previous stuff, so we kind of just thought, you know, fuck it, let's save the money and
That's funny.
Do it that way, yeah.
I love your guys' attitude. It's like, yeah, we fucking go with the flow. And really, everything you make is honestly like one album's better than the next, because you always learn, like, here's how we can take it better and up to the top. And you guys should be super happy with this.
Yeah, I mean, we're really happy with how the album's come out. It's, you know, it's every band, I suppose, when you record a new album, you always think, this is our greatest work to date, and obviously we're at that point at the moment. It's new, it's fresh. You know, we're starting to throw songs into the live set and see how they go, and so it's a lot of fun at the moment with the new album. But I think it's, from a production point of view, I think this album we spent a lot more time on it than what we have on previous stuff. Like we used a bit of a, I suppose, it's more standard format with our song structures, a bit more verse, chorus, verse.
It is, yeah.
Style, and we spent a lot of time, building it up from a production side. Like there's a lot of subtleties going on that it's not sort of right in your face, but it just, I don't know, just builds the whole thing up, I think, to sound a lot bigger. Like we spent a fuckload of time on this one, on the vocals. Just we experimented a lot with clean singing underlays on vocals, just quietly, and just trying to, I suppose, expand and trial different things and see what works and what doesn't. I mean, a lot of the ideas we had did work and stuck with the album. A lot of the ideas we had didn't work so well, so they were scrapped. But it was like we wanted to experiment a lot more, so, which was really fun and really frustrating at the same time, as you can imagine. But we had a great time doing that album. I'm
glad you are continuing to produce your own albums, because only you at this point know your evolution.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So I have my own opinions about this, but would you ever consider collaborating with another producer for an album? Do you think it will ever get to that point, or do you think Psycroptic is pretty autonomous in that way?
Not sure. I mean, we've at times we've spoken about going with somebody else and seeing what happens, but at the end of the day, Joe's the one that writes majority of the music, and he's got a clear picture in his head of how he wants it to sound. I mean, he's a fucking amazing studio engineer, and it's like, well, at the end of the day, it kind of makes sense to let him put his vision and how he wants it to sound. Let him handle it. I mean, Joe's an insane perfectionist. And when I'm doing vocals with him, when we're tracking, a lot of the time I can't hear a mistake I've made, but Joe's like, nope. It's like, nope, do it again.
Really?
Yep.
That's the direction he gives you, and you go, well, what am I supposed to do?
Yeah. Like, he's got a really good ear for it, and after all the touring finishes this year, hopefully we'll start to get a bit of time to start writing or putting some ideas together. I mean, we do say it after every album that it's not going to be such a big break between albums. We want to try and get it down to 2 years. But
right, because we had a 3-year gap with this, right?
That's pretty much generally what it is, 2.5 to 3 years. And I think a lot of that is because we're so anal about how things have to be, and we won't rush something just to get it out. It's like, if it's not right, it's not right, and people are just going to have to wait, because we don't want to put something out that we're not happy with.
Right.
Because how can you hold your head up high if you know that you've given a second-rate product?
Especially with the direction you've been going in. This is probably one of the newest and bravest directions. So when you think about it, I'm not surprised that it took as long as it did.
Yeah. And it's kind of funny, like we read reviews on the last few albums, and a lot of people say, this one could make or break the band or whatever, and it's like,
skip the drama.
Nothing's going to break us. If it doesn't take as well as the previous album, who gives a fuck? We're happy with it. We've done what we want to do first and foremost,
and then the rest will follow. The energy will follow.
Exactly.
I enjoy the shit out of this album. If you clearly didn't notice. Thank you so much for sitting down with us today at
My pleasure.
Magazine.